And so even the word, you say kami-sama, it's like, okay, which kami-sama which God are you referring to? Coming from a very established church, and most people, now like that you deal with are most likely not Christian. They don't have really biblical worldview, biblical understanding. I remember once doing a talk for university students, and I had kami-sama, written in my notes often. And the senior missionary was like, "No, you better say, the God of the Bible, or you need to say Jesus. You need to be specific who you're talking about." And so that was kind of like a shock, because in South Africa, when you talk about God, it's like it goes without saying who you're talking about, And so it was just quite eye-opening that this is not a Christianized nation. This is different, and so your approach to ministry has to be very different. So I think in South Africa, it's a country that's been evangelized, and so people have decided to reject the gospel. So they've heard the gospel before, but they choose to reject it. So it's an active rejection, whereas maybe in Japan it's more of a passive rejection, perhaps. I think in my context, there's been a curiosity, and so all the people in my community that I tell them I'm a Christian, and I'm here because involved in the church plant, working at a church. So far my experience has been people are eager to hear, or I would say curious and willing to hear. And I think in South Africa, at least in that context, like people want to be kind of shocked. People want you to rock the boat. That's kind of seen as a good thing to do, like a virtue. Thinking outside the box and new things and new ideas and all that. Whereas I feel like in Japan, like people don't really like to rock the boat. Kind of get that impression, try to keep harmony, try to, protect the peace, and so not confronting people, not going through the front door. I think in Japan, in South Africa, you bust through the front door and people are happy with that. But I think in Japan, you need to maybe come through the back door whenever you speak truth to people, right? Not big confrontation, but maybe coming through the back door and being a little bit less aggressive in the style that you present God's truth. Yeah. In each of those situations, it's been building a bridge, building a relationship, taking time. I think there's this cultural kind of thought in Japan, this idea uchi to soto, inside and outside. So if you're an outside person, you don't really need to hear or take the conversation that seriously. So that happens when you stand on the street corners and shout at people and give them tracts, and it's kind of like that's an outside person, and they being weird or whatever. But I think once you build a bridge and there's a relationship, if the bridge is strong, you can carry heavy conversations over there, right? And so I think taking time to build relationships and kind of taking some of the foreignness and trying to get on the inside group with that person is really important. Perhaps more important in Japan and other countries. I think relationships kind of trump ideas and rationalizing. So definitely, like in my ministry, I think I've had a very positive experience with people engaging with the gospel, but it's all people that I've taken time to really build a relationship with them. So just recently actually, I had a conversation with a Japanese man who went to the Vatican of all places for like a trip, like a overseas trip, and he told me about, you know, the painting of the Last Supper, and he was just really moved by that. And we kind of used that as an entry point to kind of talk. And then I remember challenging him that, you know, religion really isn't the answer, and Christianity isn't really pushing a religion. Actually, religion could be your downfall, really, you know, if that's what you're trusting. And he was like really shocked. It's like it was like completely changed, you know, rocked his world in a sense. And so I think maybe most people would say religion is a good thing. Mainline religions, not talking about cults or anything, but mainline religions, you know, isn't bad. But actually, you know, the gospel says if that's what you're trusting in, then yes, you know, it is not good. It's bad. So I think that was quite shocking for my friend to hear. I mean, if you look at everything in all the different disciplines in Japan, has like a door, the way, right? There's like Sado, Kyudo, Judo, right? All these, it's like the way of this, right? And so it's all about like what you do, and if you do those things faithfully, you will achieve, you will get somewhere. Whereas the gospel comes in and it just challenges that like completely. That it's not about what we do; it's about what Christ has done for us, and receiving His grace without doing. I mean, and that's a really hard thing